Hi, everyone. Um, Welcome to this week's edition of the Community Call. Let's get started. Bobby, how are things? How is Google Summer of Code going?
Google Summer Code is going. We're making progress on all four projects. We intended for people to come and introduce themselves, but we sort of dropped the ball on it. It's not too late, so we'll try to.
No, it's not, and it doesn't have to be everyone at once. We can,
Yeah,
whenever someone can make it, they'll be welcome to talk about their work.
yeah, and I'll see if I can gather some resources. I'm not actively participating in all projects, so I'm not sure if everyone's keeping a public blog or any information, but I'll try to gather it for next time.
That's great. Thank you. Anything else you want to share?
I don't see Jonathan here, so I'll cover the fixes to the bridge in Jitsi from last week. So Jonathan implemented support for SCTP using the DC SCTP library from Google, and we've been testing that on me Jitsi for about a week or 2 weeks now. We noticed some issues with memory leaking in the bridge, so he fixed that last week, and we have a new version that we're planning to test. And we also discovered a thread leak in Jitsi when bridges become unresponsive, and that's now fixed in master. Oh, there's Jonathan. I was just talking about SCTP.
Oh, yes. Hopefully you've said everything that needs to be said, but yeah, we enabled DC SCTP, and there was a memory leak in the previous version, which will be fixed now. So if you see anything weird, let us know.
So, when do we think this is going to hit production, and what do we expect the upsides to be?
I mean, presumably after we've let it bake for a bit in meat to confirm everything's working right, and it basically means you no longer have a separate web channel connection to the bridge. So right now you have, if web channels, the bridge connection is able to have two different connections to a bridge, which is they can get, you can disconnect one but not the other, so in which case weird things happen, whereas here you have fate sharing and it should be faster connection time too, I think.
Wait, have we launched this on Meet?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay.
So in particular, we're worried about what happens if we lose this bridge signaling connection when we have SSRC rewriting in use. That's why we've been testing SSRC rewriting on Jitsi. It's behaving well, but we don't want to enable it while we're running on top of WebSockets.
That makes sense. All right. And just, I think maybe most people have seen this as a notification. The problem that this solves, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but the problem that it solves, when it does manifest, people would have seen it as this notification that tells you that the connection with the bridge has failed and quality may be degraded. That typically happens when the WebSocket, the data channel WebSocket cannot be established, right? That's we should be seeing less of those in the future, right?
Yes. Yeah. And also, yeah, the other advantage is on the infrastructure side, it means you don't have to have open HTTP connections available on the bridges, which simplifies
running the infrastructure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. All right. So as a reminder, the reason we walked away from the native SCTP library was because we were seeing crashes that proved very, very hard to debug. none of these have crept back in on
Yes,
as
the
we're running this
crashes were
meet?
due to the old library we're using. We switched to Google's implementation of the protocol stack instead, and which is a much cleaner and written specifically for this use case as opposed to sort of being adapted to it. So it's a
That's
much
great.
cleaner implementation. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you, guys. Anyone else want to share anything? Jay or Damien?
Yeah, and we plan to switch it by default for Docker and Debian stable packages, the DSCTP.
That's great to know.
I think the only caveat with the new implementation is it's only available on ARM and Intel.
Yeah, we don't have a build for for the old one. We had a build for PowerPC, but looks like Google doesn't support that in the library, so we couldn't do that.
Understood. Jay, go ahead.
Yeah, I have an update about AV1. I mean, we've enabled it on Jitsi, and we've also set it as the preferred codec for both the P2P and JVP connections.
Sorry, which one do we set as the preferred codec?
AV1
Okay.
for all connections on Jitsi. I mean, it's been available, like it has been available for a while now in the Debian packages, and users could always set it as the preferred codec on their deployments, but we just enabled it on Jitsi. We ran a bunch of codec performance tests, and we didn't see that we were getting a CPU hit because of AV1 on most platforms. So except for mobile endpoints. So whenever a mobile endpoint joins the call, all the other endpoints will switch to VP9. So
do we know, so he's not here, but do you guys know if we're planning to add VPN support on mobile as well?
AV1, you mean?
Sorry, what did I say? 89? Sorry, yes, 81.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know something about 89, I'd be curious to hear too.
No, yeah. So I mean, it's just that we're worried about poor video quality because of we'll probably run some more tests on mobile endpoints, and then we'll see what we can do about it. But then I'm working on a new feature with the new codec selection API where we can actually look at the stats, the encode time stats at runtime, and then switch to a lower complexity codec if we see that it's taking up too much CPU. So we'll have that soon, and then we should be able to enable it everywhere, and then the codec switching should happen automatically depending on how the device is doing with respect to CPU.
That's pretty cool. Thank you, Jaya. Christo?
Yeah, I wanted to mention a few fixes and features around the toolbar. Not sure if we mentioned that the previous time because I was missing, but now we have an API to customize the order of the buttons in the main toolbar. This is one thing, and there was a few fixes around the rendering. It should be a little bit more efficient now. The code should be a little bit more modern. And also there was some weird behavior in, let's say, some cases that we normally try to keep the number of buttons in the main toolbar kind of consistent with the resolution and the screen size. But in some cases, we were not filling up the main toolbar if some of the buttons were disabled. So it was possible to get a different number of buttons depending on the features that are supported in the meeting. So this should be fixed now. And I think that's all for me.
Thank you, Christo. I think that's all on the team side. Any questions or comments from the community?
Yes, I would like to bring up the subject of the above operating system. Has the above operating system team reached out to your team?
I'm not aware of that. Is anyone aware of that?
They are the ones with the above book We mentioned that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I have a recollection that we've discussed this a couple of times, but how have they reached out to us?
Well, we're trying to get you guys connected because WebRTC on their operating system, we need to make sure that it works well. And as a matter of fact, there's been a new project that just came into our attention called the Unplugged endpoint, mobile endpoint. It's called Unplugged, and they have their own operating system that they're working on as well. Have you heard from the Unplugged community?
I'm not aware of that, but you say they have reached out to us, and I was asking you, how have they reached out to us?
Oh, no, I was asking if they have reached out to you.
Has anyone here heard Damian, Boris, Risto, Jaya, Jonathan?
I haven't. It's possible that they've posted something on the community that hasn't been seen, but I don't think anything has specifically mentioned those projects above or Unplugged.
Great. I'm just trying to follow up. We're trying to get them in touch because they have some great concepts of privacy and security, creating these new operating systems, both of them. The above product is just running on a Google platform, smartphone, the Pixel, but the Unplugged actually has their own custom hardware manufactured in Taiwan. And we need to all, get the entire industry of FLOSS, open source software to embrace your WebRTC with their new developed operating systems. So we'll keep working on our end to try to get you guys connected.
Yeah, so we run on top of the browser with standard WebRTC. So if everything in their browser works fine, I don't foresee any specific issues. The service here at Jitsi is available for testing. So if you guys run tests or anything and run into issues, we're always looking for feedback.
Thank you for that information. These are new operating systems, and I'm not sure which browser the Unplugged is, but I thought that you do not recommend using the browser on a mobile device, but the app in a mobile device. Is that correct?
That's correct, but it would still be a good start to check that we do work in a browser. And then how do these systems distribute apps? Do they have app stores, or how does that work exactly? Do they support APKs, or what's the story there?
Thank you for asking that question. The APKs will be allowed to be installed on the above OS. The Unplugged have their own Play Store, and our engineer got a message from the Unplugged team that they had just added the Jitsi Meet app into their Play Store, but none of this has been tested. There's no communication between the teams, and that's what we're trying to establish. I thank you for your help.
Okay, well, if they added it to the Play Store, then do you have one of those devices? You can just run it and see what happens.
Me personally, I do not have, but we're getting one for testing because we really do want to embrace this privacy.
Okay.
When we can get one of those devices and have some solid feedback, we'll join a call in the future.
All right. Well, let's see how this goes. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you everyone for stopping by.